Let's get started with our second module, AWS Code Commit. In this module, we are going to learn about code commit basics, Git basics, how code commit work. We will set up the environment in our local machine to work with AWS Code Commit. We will work with repository, commits and branches. In repository, there are multiple operations available which we are going to cover. We will learn how to create the repository, how to connect to the repository through command line as well as from IDE, how to share repository, how to browse the contents of the repository. We will also create the trigger for the repository, then viewing the details, changing the repository settings and also deleting the repository are covered, and we will also learn how to push and commit changes to the repository. Other than that, there are multiple labs available in this module. So let's get started with the second module. Code Commit Basics. Code Commit is a secure, highly scalable, managed source control service that hosts private Git repositories. It eliminates the need for us to manage our own source control system or worry about scaling its infrastructure. It is highly scalable. That means any number of developers can access and connect resources and it will scale accordingly. AWS Code Commit repositories are encrypted, so it can store anything from code to binaries. It has no limit on the size of repository or on the file types. It is integrated with IAM. IAM is used to provide access management in code commit. It can also integrate with other AWS services and in parallel with other repositories. AWS Code Commit works with Git commands as well as its own AWS CLI commands. As it is a Git repository, it works well with Git commands. And we can also access AWS Code Commit through AWS CLI, which is Amazon's own command line interface which we use to interact with AWS Code Commit. AWS Code Commit repositories can handle repositories with large number of files or branches, large file sizes and lengthy revision histories. So it can scale up to meet our development needs. Now let's see our next topic, that is Git basics. Git is an open version source control system. Standard version source control systems keeps files and list of changes, whereas in Git it stores snapshot. So if we commit any file or list of changes, it will record the snapshots of these files, and if nothing has been changed in file, then it will keep the reference to the latest file for save. There are basically three trees of Git: Git directory, staging area and working directory. Git directory is the last committed snapshot, so it will store the recent up-to-date code in Git directory. Staging area. Staging area is the next commit snapshot. It stores information about what will go into your next commit, so we can refer it as the index. And working directory. Working directory is nothing but the working local copy of Sandbox. So we can say that it is the checkout of one version of the project. Now resources will have three stages in file status lifecycle: modified, staged and committed. Let's see the stages by understanding the basic Git workflow. It goes something like this. You check out the project from Git directory. It will clone the repository from Git to your working directory. There you will allow to modify, add, delete anything in working directory. So at that time the resource stage will be modified. Then you stage the files. That means adding the snapshot of them to your staging area. So at that time the resource stage will be staged, and the next step will be you do a commit, which takes the files as they are in the staging area and stores the snapshot permanently to the Git directory. At that time the resource stage will be committed. Now let's see some basic Git commands which we are going to use in this course frequently. Git config. Git config is used for managing a configuration variable and the configuration file. So whatever configuration we will set, it will be stored in a .git config file. The second command is git clone. Git clone is used to create a local copy of an AWS code commit repository. So it will create a clone of the AWS code commit repository. The third one is git push. Git push is used to push finalized commits from the local repository to the AWS code commit repository. The fourth command is git pull. Git pull is used to pull finalized commits to the local repository from the AWS code commit repository. Git commit. Git commit command is used to finalize the pending commit in the local repository. And git add. Git add command is used to add all new, modified and deleted files to the pending commit in the local repository. So all these commands we are frequently going to use in a module. So let's move ahead to the next topic. How code commit works. This diagram shows how we can use development machine, the AWS CLI or AWS code commit console and the AWS code commit service to create and manage repositories. First step is to create a repository. We can create repository through AWS CLI or AWS code commit console. This is the startup point. AWS code commit service will create remote repository for the same. To replicate the remote repository, or we can say to make a clone of remote repository in our local development machine, we have to use git clone command. The clone request will be received by code commit service. It will synchronize the local and remote repositories and then it will create a local repository in a local development machine for the remote code commit repository. Now we can add, modify, delete, rename files in a local repository. Then if we want those changes to reflect on remote repository, we need to follow below steps. First we need to run git add. Git add command is used to stage the modified files locally. Then we need to run git commit to commit the files locally, and then we need to run git push to send the files to the AWS code commit repository. Now code commit service will receive push request and check in the files to remote repository. Now in a company, many users work on the same project, same code, even same file. So to integrate other users' changes, we need to use pull request. By running git pull command, code commit service will send the updates to the local repository. And this is how we can keep our code up to date in our local repositories. AWS Code Commit provides a console for the easy creation of repository and the listing of existing repository and branches. So through CLI or console, we can see all the branches and repositories, and Code Commit service will receive the request and send the updates. So it will provide the up-to-date version of them. So this is how we can use AWS CLI or AWS Code Commit console to track and manage repositories. Now let's move ahead and see how we can create the repository in the AWS Code Commit console. Now this is the first lab in our module. We will create the repository in the Code Commit console in this lab. So let's get started with our first lab of creating a repository. This is AWS Management Console page which shows all the AWS services. From that we can select whatever we want to use. Right now we want to select Code Commit. So click on the Code Commit. This link will navigate us to the Get Started page. As of now we don't have any repository created, that's why we are on the Get Started page. If we have any repository created, then it will navigate us to the repositories dashboard. Now basically there are three actions connected with repositories. First we need to create a repository. Then we can connect the repository to the local repository, and then we can push and pull commits between local and remote repository. And then we can provide the access to the other users so that they can also start contributing in the repository. Now to create a repository, let's click on the Get Started button. It will navigate us to the Create Repository. Here we have to give the name. Let's give the name, that is Lab 1 Demo, Lab 1 Repository, and then it is a simple one-step creation. So click on the Create Repository and it will create our repository. Here it shows the how we can connect to the repository. If we are using HTTPS and you are on Windows machine, which is our case, then this all are the prerequisites which we are going to see in our next lab. So here all the code of the repository lab1 demo will be displayed. Right now there is no code, so the repository is empty. If we want to see the connect instruction, then we can select and click on this button and it will show us all the instruction to connect to the repository. We can also see the clone URL from here. If we are using SSH, then we can select the URL from here, and if we are going to use HTTPS, then we are selecting this clone URL and connecting the repository by using this URL. So this is how we can create the repository. Now let's move ahead and see how we can set up the environment in our local machine to connect to this remote repository. To set up the environment in our local machine, we can connect to the AWS Code Commit repository by two ways. We can connect through HTTPS or we can connect through SSH. When we are connecting to the AWS Code Commit repository through SSH, we need to pass users public and private key while interacting with Code Commit repository. Whereas when we are using HTTPS, we have two choices. We can either use Git credentials or we can use AWS CLI credential helper. But when we are using Git credentials, we need to pass and we need to authenticate the user every time we are interacting with AWS Code Commit repository. Whereas in AWS CLI credential helper, it will authenticate the user automatically once it is set up properly. So in this course, we are going to use AWS CLI credential helper and we will see how we are connecting the AWS Code Commit repository through AWS CLI credential helper. Now let's see some prerequisites for the AWS Code Commit repository and for connecting the local repository to AWS Code Commit repository. First is there must be one IAM user defined and some appropriate policies should be assigned to that user. The policies are as follows, that is AWS Code Commit full access and IAM read only access. These two policies should be attached to the user. And then if we are going to connect through HTTPS, then we need to assign IAM self-managed service specific credentials policy to that IAM user. And if we are connecting through SSH, then we need to assign IAM user SSH keys policy to that IAM user. Now to work with files, commits and other information in AWS Code Commit repository, we must install Git in our local machine. AWS Code Commit supports Git versions 1.7.9 or later. And now to interact with AWS repository, AWS CLI must be installed. So this all are the prerequisites for connecting the local repository to remote repository, and we are going to set up the environment in next lab in our local development machine. So let's move ahead. In this lab, we will set up the environment in our local development machine for code commit, and after setting up the environment, we will connect and clone the remote repository in our local working directory through command line. So let's get started with this lab. As we have seen, our first prerequisites was let's create an IAM user. So let's go to the IAM. Here you can see number of users created if you have any. So in my case there is no user created, so let's create one and attach the policy. So first let's add the user. We will give the name lab1 user and let's give the programmatic access to that user. Programmatic access enables an access key ID and secret access key for AWS API, CLI, SDK and other development tools. We are going to use AWS CLI. So in AWS CLI, when we are going to use this user, we are going to pass this access key ID and secret access key to connect with this user and authenticate this user. So let's click on the next. Here you can add the user to any group or attach any policies or copy permission from any existing user. But as of now, we will add this user to the group developers. This group is I have created before. If you don't have any group, then you can create the group from here also. So let's click on the next. It will show the summarized information what we have selected previously. So see this, refer this once, and then confirm it, and then let's create the user. The user is created successfully, and then we can view and download the security credentials. So let's download the security credentials for our future use, and let's close it. Now we are going to attach the policies to this user. So to attach the policies, let's click on this user, and by clicking on add permission, we can attach the policies to that user. Click on this attach existing policies directly. So now let's attach, that is the first one is IAM read only access. So let's select this. Then the other one is code commit full access, and we are going to use HTTPS. So that one is IAM self managed service specific. So now let's click on next and review this. So we are going to attach these three policies to the user lab1 user. So now let's add permission, and these three policies are successfully attached to this user. Now we can also see security credentials. Here we have already downloaded this access key ID and secret access key ID. Please note that access key ID and secret access key we can download only once. Then if we have forgot or we have misplaced, then we have to create a new access key ID and secret access key ID. So the second prerequisite was to install Git. So I have made one document. To install Git, we can navigate to this and install Git. I have already downloaded the Git exe. So let's navigate to that. Here I have already installed Git exe. So I will just show the setup steps. After that, I am not going to finish it and install it again. Click on next. Now here we have to select use Git from the Windows command prompt. So it is by default selected, but to be on the safer side, we should select that. This is also right. We don't have to change anything. Here we don't have to, if this is enabled, then we have to disable it. This should not be checked because we are going to use AWS CLI credential helper. So this should not be checked. And then we have to click on install. But in my machine, I have already installed Git, so I am not going to click here. But this is the steps we need to follow to install the Git. After that, we need to install AWS CLI. AWS CLI we can install from this URL. I have already installed the exe. So here also it is a very simple setup option. There is no change in that. Just select everything and install AWS CLI in your machine. I have already installed AWS CLI on my machine. So after you have installed AWS CLI on your machine, let's open the command prompt and confirm that whether the AWS CLI is installed properly or not. We can see that by using the command AWS code commit help. If it will display all the related commands with code commit, then we can say that AWS is installed properly. After that, we have to configure the AWS. So let's use the command AWS configure. It will ask for the access key. So we have already downloaded that access key and secret access key. So let me open that Excel sheet. Here is the access key. Let's copy this and paste here. Then it will ask for the secret access key. So this is the secret access key. Let's copy this and paste it here, then it will ask the default region name. So if we are going to use and connect to the repository, then we have to provide the region where our repository is created. So in our case it is US East 2. And default output format, you can give anything. I'm going to give JSON. You can also select none. So this is how we have set the AWS profile. It will create one folder called .aws, and all the config and credentials will be stored in these two files. If you will select this and add it with Notepad++, you can see it has saved access key ID and secret access key ID, which it will use to authenticate the users. And then it has also stored the configuration variable, that the default output format and region. Now let's get started with the Git configuration. Before that, let's verify our Git version. To verify the Git version, we have to use the command git -- version. So the version is 2.13.3, so it is more than required 1.7.9. Now first, to set the user profile for the Git, we have to set the username. So we will set the user's name by executing the command git config global it is for global profile, and then the parameter will be user.name, and then we will give the user name, that is lab1 user, and then we will also set the email for that user. So it is for, like, if we have multiple users connecting through the same computer, then they can use the different username and email, and that is how we can track that who has committed the changes in this directory by seeing the name and email. Right now I am putting the email, some random email, but you can have any proper email. So our user profile has been set for lab1 user. Now we will set this user's profile to use the credentials from the AWS profile. AWS CLI includes a Git credential helper, which you can use with AWS code commit, and Git credential helper requires an AWS credential profile, which stores a copy of an IAM user's access key ID and secret access key along with the default region and default output format. So that profile which we have created recently, so that profile the Git credential helper will use, but for that we have to set the Git credential helper to use that AWS profile. So let's copy this command and paste it here and ask the Git to use the AWS code commit profile to authenticate the user. And after that, the second command also we need to execute to make the HTTP path true. So these two commands will ask the Git credential helper to use the AWS profile while authenticating the user. So we don't have to authenticate the user every time we interact with AWS code commit. So we don't have to pass every time the secret access key ID or the username and password for the user to connect to the AWS code commit repository. Now after executing this, to verify that all the details has been written properly in the .git config file for our user profile, let's execute this command. Let's copy this and paste it here. So the .git config file will store all the parameters we have set for this profile, that the helper parameter, user HTTP path parameter, email and name. So this will be used to authenticate the user by using the AWS profile, and this will be used when we will push or commit any changes. At that time we can say that lab1 user has changed this or committed this change, so we can track the changes by seeing the username. Now let's navigate and see the .git config file. .aws profile and .git config file will be stored in the local users, that is in Windows case the C drive in users and whatever the user in your PC you are using. So the .aws and .git config will be stored there. You can see all the parameters stored in that file. So this is how we have completed all our prerequisites. So now let's move ahead and let's see how we are cloning the remote repository in a local repository. Now this lab is about to connect to this remote repository through command line. So we have completed all the prerequisites. Now let's navigate to the steps to clone our repository. This first step is also we have completed. This step is nothing but asking the Git credential helper to use the AWS profile. So we don't have to pass the secret access key and access key every time. It will authenticate the user once it is set up. So now we are cloning our repository in our local machine. So now let's copy this command. This is specific to this lab1 demo. So let's copy this command. We can use this command and let's paste the command here, and then we can give the output directory. So I am giving lab1 demo local. You can also give lab1 demo, anything, any folder name you want to create. So it will create the clone of the lab1 demo repository in a local development machine. If the repository is empty, then it will give you a warning also that you appear to have cloned an empty repository. Now if we will navigate to this path, we will see one folder created lab1 demo local. Now when I am refreshing it, we can see the folder called lab1 demo local, which is empty. So this is how we can connect to the repository through command line. If the repository is containing any files or any code, then while cloning, all the code will also be copied into our local repository. Now let's add one file in our local machine and let's push that file to a remote repository. Now we have already connected local repository to our remote repository. So let's get started with adding the files and checking them to the remote repository. So let's add one file called one simple text file, that is hello, and let's add some text, that is hello, and let's save it. Now as we have already seen, there are 3 commands we need to run to commit these changes to our remote repository. First, let's go to the folder lab1 demo local. There when we will see all the files will be there. So here we can see there is one file called hello.txt. Now let's add it locally in the repository. So let's add it by using the command git add. After that we are going to use git commit. Now it will ask for the commit comments. So give commit 1 for our reference that it is the first commit we have done on this file. Now exit from the comment section and it will commit the file locally. You can see the summary, that is one file changed and one insertion happened, and create mode this for hello.txt file. Now we have to push the change to the remote repository. So we can insert the command git push from origin to master, so that it will create one branch called master and it will check in this file to the remote repository. So once it has been pushed, we can see this file in a remote repository. So let's wait for this push to happen. So you can see that it has pushed the changes to the branch master. It has created the new branch master and then it has pushed the changes. So let's navigate to a remote repository and refresh it. Let's refresh it. Here you can see the branch master has been created and one file has been added, that is called hello.txt. When we'll open that file, you can also see the content of that file. In this commits, we can see who has made the commit. Here you can see the username authored 2 minutes ago. So all the commit history we can see here, and the commit comments will also be seen here. So if multiple user is working on the same branch, then we can see which user has committed which changes. If there are multiple commits happen, then we can also the different version of the file here. Here the hello.txt was added first time, so there is no version history, but in this visualizer if multiple commits will happen, then we can compare between those commits. And here if we have multiple branches, then we can also compare with those branches and we can compare the codes between those branches. So let's add some change in that file and commit again, and then we will see and compare those two commits in this visualizer. Now let's make some changes in this file and commit again. So let me write hello user and let's save it, and now let's again edit this changes locally. So we are going to use hello.txt. Then let's commit it locally. Let's add commit to. So now let's push this change in our remote repository. So let's use the command origin to master, because we are going to push in master branch only. So the push has been successful. So now let's navigate to our remote repository and refresh it. Here you can see there are two commit has happened, commit 1 and commit 2. If you will see here, there is one link. You can see the difference between this commit and its parent. So if you will click on this, you can see what has been changed and what has been added. So in red that called the lines removed, and in green it called lines added. So you can see before it was hello, but now it is hello user. So this is how we can compare the commits also. Now this file has already been updated. Here you can see the commit 2 is also been, the commit comments is also displayed here. So this is how we can work with commits. Now let's see another use of AWS code commit. Now consider that we have checked in all the codes in our remote repository, and this is like a new user starting the work in our company. So for him to fetch all the code in his working directory or in his local machine, he just have to clone the remote repository in his local repository, and it will copy all the data from remote to his local, and he can start working on it. So in my machine I have deleted the local demo from my directory, and then I am going to clone it again to see whether all the changes happened in the repository is coming in my working directory or not. So let's use the command git clone, and let's create the folder that is lab1 demo local, and it will clone the repository, and it will also copy the file which we have checked in earlier in our working directory. So this is like easier for the new user to begin working on the project. So let's see what we have got in our folder. Here you can see the hello.txt is here, and we can also see the latest updated version we are able to fetch in our working directory. So this is how we can work with the up-to-date code, and we can fetch the up-to-date code and work with that and check in and check out accordingly. So let's move ahead. In our previous lab, we have connected and cloned the remote repository in our local machine through command line. But in this lab, we will do the same through IDE. So we are going to use Eclipse IDE for the same. So for this, AWS Toolkit must be installed on Eclipse. So if you don't have that installed on your Eclipse, then we can use and install that AWS Toolkit by installing the new software option on Eclipse. So let's see how we are connecting and cloning the repository through Eclipse. Let's get started. So to install the AWS Toolkit on our Eclipse, you can navigate to the help and install new software. Here we have to paste the link which I have mentioned in the document. Then we have to select the AWS core management tools, which is including the AWS Toolkit for Eclipse. So this is what we require. Also AWS deployment tool and developer tools. These two are optional. So select these three and click on next. Then it will install all these plugins and tools and click on finish. It will install all the software required, APIs, everything in Eclipse. So we can use the AWS Toolkit in our Eclipse to clone and connect with the repository. So let's wait for this installation to be completed. Now our AWS Toolkit has been installed successfully. Now let's set the preferences for that. Once it has been installed, you can see the AWS Toolkit here. It has already selected the default profile which we have set through command line. So here is the access key ID and secret access key which we have set through command line. Now to access the AWS code commit, we have to set the username and password. So this username and password we have to fetch through HTTPS get credentials. So to download those credentials, we have to navigate to the users, click on the username and click on the security credentials. Now we have to generate the HTTPS grid credentials for AWS code commit. So click on the generate and download the credentials file. Now once you have downloaded, open that file and copy this one and paste it here on the field of username, and for the password select this and paste it to password field. So once you have set the username and password, you will be able to access the AWS code commit through command line. Now here we have to open the AWS code commit explorer. So let's open it. To open the AWS Explorer, click on this icon which is AWS Toolkit, and you can click on show AWS Explorer view. Here you can see all the AWS related functions in AWS Explorer. So we are going to work on AWS code commit. So it will fetch all the repositories available in AWS code commit console. Make sure that you are in the same region where the repository is created. If you is in different region, then select your region and then click on the AWS code commit, and it will fetch all the repositories available in that region. So one repository is available called lab1 demo. So if we want to clone the repository, we can right click on the repository name and click on the clone repository. So we have to select the branch of which we need make a clone of it. So we are making a clone of the master branch. So select that branch and then click on next. Directly we are going to create lab1 demo. So and we also want to clone sub modules. So let's click on the finish. So this we can skip here, and we have cloned the repository. Let's navigate to that. Here we can see lab1 demo is created and one hello file which we have updated is also created with the latest code. So this is how we can clone the repository through Eclipse. We can also create repository directly from Eclipse by right clicking on the AWS code commit, and we will create the repository here, that is lab2 demo, lab2 repository, and click on OK. And then it will create that repository. We can add the projects in it. So let's navigate to the console here and refresh it to see whether the second directory has been created or not. So here we can see the second repository has been created. So through Eclipse also we are able to create repository, clone the repository. Now we will see how to check in and check out the code. To work with check-in, you must have to install eGit plugin for that. So I have already installed eGit plugin, but I will show how to install it. You can go to Eclipse Marketplace and search for the eGit. Here I have already installed, so there is no install button here, but if you have not installed, then one install button will appear here and you can click on install and it will appear the eGit in your Eclipse. Now what we are going to do is we will add one local repository in our machine and we will create one Java project, and then we will check in that Java project in this lab2 demo repository. So now let's create one Java project here. File, new, Java project. Let's give the name as it hello world and create on next. Finish. It will create one Java project. Now first let's add one class file. Hello world class and click on finish. Here you can see the auto generated code is here. Now we are just writing system dot out dot println hello world. This is the basic hello world command. Now let's save it, and now we want to check out this file to the repository lab2 demo. So let's first right click on this file hello world class.java and go to the team. Before that, we have to share this project and create a local repository. So let's go to team and share project, and here we are going to create a local repository and click on finish. So it will create a local repository in a local development machine. Now let's check in this repository in the lab2 demo remote repository. So go to team and then click on commit. Now here you can see all the files which are in unstaged changes. So to move it to stage changes, select all the files and drag those files to stage changes, and then give the commit message like commit 1 for Java project. Now before that, first let's copy the lab2 demo HTTPS URL. So let's open it in this code repository window and let's copy this URL, because we will need that URL while committing the changes. So let's click on commit and push. It will ask for the location URI. So here we will paste this HTTPS URL for lab2 demo. Here all the user and password we have already set, so it has fetched all the details here. Now let's click on next. It will push the changes in the branch master. If master branch is not there, then it will create the branch. So let's click on next and let's finish, and it will push the changes to the remote repository, that is lab2 demo. In code commit console, let's see lab2 demo and see whether our code is checked in or not. See here we can see all the project related files in our code commit repository. Let's click on source and let's open the hello world class.java. So here we can see all the code is up to date and checked in properly in the branch called master. So before that there is no branch, but when we checked in we have selected the branch master, so it has created the branch master. We can also see in commit section that lab1 user authored 4 minutes ago the commit for, you can also see the code commit message, that is commit 1 for Java project. Here there is no previous version, so we don't have any comparison between the code. But when we will here you can see all are added because there are no previous version. But when we will change anything in our source code and then we will check in, we can see the different comparison between commits. So let's change something and check in again. So let's open this and write hello world user and let's save it. And now let's check in again, team and commit. Here you can see it is in stage changes. Now to commit, let's say commit 2 for Java project and let's commit and push. Now it will not ask for the information for lab2 demo URL and all because we have already given once. So let's click on OK and it will push those changes to the lab2 demo repository. Now let's refresh this file. And you can see the changes we have made in this file. We can also see the commits here, that commit 2 for Java project. We can see which user has committed the project. We can also visualize the different commits, that what has been changed. So we can view the difference between those two commits. So here you can see that we have only changed added user. We can also compare, but we will see this later after creating the different branch. So this is how all the action we can achieve through Eclipse. So now let's move ahead to the next topic. So in this lab we are going to create a trigger on code commit repository. So for any changes in code commit repository we will get a mail. So for that we are going to integrate with another Amazon service called Amazon SNS. So let's create the Amazon SNS topic first and then we will integrate it with code commit. So this is the SNS dashboard which we are going to use to communicate whenever any change is made to the code commit repository. So let's get started with SNS. First we are going to create a topic which will create a communication channel to send messages and subscribe to notification. After that we will create subscription that will subscribe an endpoint to a topic to receive messages published to that topic, and then we will publish a message to the topic or as a direct publish to a platform endpoint. And then we will use this SNS service in our code commit repository to enable the email notification whenever any change is made to the code commit repository. So let's create a topic first. Give the topic name as email notification email SNS. We will give the display name as email SNS and let's create a topic for that. The topic has been created. We can see the summarized information about it. The email notification topic is created. Now let's create a subscription for that. We want to receive the notification via mail, so we are going to select email in protocol and here we have to give the email address. So I am going to give an email address, that is my email address, and now let's create the subscription for that. Now here the subscription state is pending confirmation. So in our mail account we are going to get a subscription confirmation mail. To confirm the subscription we have to select and click on that link. So that will confirm our subscription. Let's refresh it here, so it will show us the recent status. Here you can say the subscription ID is generated, that means it has been confirmed. So our topic and subscription has been created. So it is enough for us to generate the email notification for any changes in code commit repository. Publishing a message is not required in this case. So let's move forward and go to the code commit. Let's navigate to the code commit. Let's create a trigger for our lab 2. Go to the triggers and let's create a trigger. Trigger name can be notify user. Events, you can choose all repository events or only for push, or whenever any branch or tag created, or whenever any branch or tag deleted. But as of now we will select all the repository events. You can also select the branch, that if only one branch is affected, then only you want to get the notification, then you can also select the branch. Here we are going to select Amazon SNS. Here you can select the Amazon SNS topic. So in our case it is email notification. Now custom data, if you want to add anything, and now you can also test the trigger. Let's test it. So we will get one test mail. So here we have got the test mail, that is AWS code commit. The following repository in AWS code commit has changed, and this is how if we will change anything in this repository, we will going to get the email notification. So this is how we can watch our repository and see what changes has been happening. So let's create this trigger. Now let's make some changes and see whether we are going to get any notification for the same or not. So let's navigate to this and let's add another file, that is demo class. And let's push it to our lab2 directory. Let's push it to the stage changes and then let's commit it. Commit for trigger. Let's commit and push. So push has been happened successfully. Let's first test it whether it is containing any code or not. So this file has been added successfully. We have got the email notification that we have the following repository has been changed. So this is how we can make the triggers on the repository activity, and we can watch the repository for any code changes or for any commits happening. So let's move ahead to the next topic. Now in this lab we will see some basic repository operations. We have already seen most of the repository operations. Other than that, we can change the settings of the repository. In the settings we can change the name of the repository. We can also change the description. If we want to change the default branch, then we can select from here. If we have multiple branches and we want to select the default branch as the other branch, and if we want to delete the repository, then we can delete the repository by clicking on this button, and then we have to rewrite the repository name here, and then the delete button will be enabled like this. And after that, when we will click on the delete button, it will delete the repository from here. Other than that, all other repository operations we have already covered. So let's move ahead to the branches. In this lab, we will see code commit branches. We will see how we can create the branches. We will compare the two branches and we will differentiate between them. Then we will also see the branch details and we will also learn how to delete a branch. So let's move to the code commit concept. So here in branches, we can see all the branches available in the repository lab2 demo. Right now we have only one branch, that is default branch called master. Let's create one another branch called development. And we will create the branch from the master itself. So let's create the branch development. So one other branch has been created. So this is how we can create the branch. Now to view the branch details, we can click on the branch name. Like if we will click on the development branch, it will show us all the data, all the files available in that branch. If we want to switch to other branch, we can switch it from here also. It will show us all the details. We can compare also with multiple branches, like when we will compare master with development. And let's compare. Right now there are no difference because we have just created another branch called development from master. Now let's make some commit to the master branch and let's make some difference between those two branches, and after that we will compare those two branches. So let's navigate to the Eclipse and let's change it here that now let's move this unstaged file to the staged and let's commit and push. It will push to the remote repository and it will push to master only because we have selected master only. So let's push this change to the master repository. It has been pushed to the master repository, and now let's compare these two branches. So now we can see the difference between those two branches because in development it is the previous version and in master it is the latest version. So we can see the difference between those two branches, that this file has some changes from this file in the development branch. We can also delete the branch by clicking on this close icon. Now if we want to change the default branch, we can change the default branch from here also, that let's make the default branch to development and then let's change it. So it will make the development branch to default branch and master branch will be the secondary branch. So this is how we can track the changes in branch, and branch will be useful to track and manage the changes in different versions. So this is all about AWS code commit branches. We have already seen AWS code commits. So we have covered almost everything about AWS code commit repository. Now let's move forward and learn about code build.